Ever notice how international news kind of feels like a never-ending soap opera? There's always some drama brewing, some unexpected twist, some alliance shifting. And lately, it seems like Canada's found itself smack dab in the middle of a particularly spicy storyline involving two global heavyweights, China and the United States. It's not just about trade deals and tariffs anymore, eh? It's a complex dance of power, politics, and priorities. And we, as Canadians, are definitely feeling the rhythm, or maybe the stumbles, of this intricate tango. Think about it. You're scrolling through your news feed, and there it is again. Another headline about Canada-China relations, or maybe something about the latest U.S. policy impacting trade with both countries. Perhaps you've overheard conversations at the Tim Hortons, folks debating the ethics of buying Chinese-made goods versus supporting local businesses. It's all interconnected, isn't it? This isn't some abstract foreign policy thing happening over there. It's affecting our economy, our communities, and even the way we see ourselves on the world stage. This script isn't about taking sides or pointing fingers. It's about understanding the dynamics at play. It's about unpacking the historical baggage, the economic realities, and the political calculations that have led us to this point. We're going to delve into the specifics of how the relationship between Canada, China, and the United States has evolved, especially in recent years. How decisions made in Washington and Beijing are rippling through our own backyard. We'll be taking a closer look at some of the pivotal moments that have shaped this triangular relationship. Think about the arrest of Meng Wanzhou, for instance, and the subsequent fallout. Or consider the evolving trade landscape under different U.S. administrations. Or even the subtle shifts in China's global ambitions and how that impacts its interactions with countries like ours. It's a story with many layers, and we're going to peel them back one by one. The aim here isn't to provide easy answers because, frankly, there aren't any. Instead, it's about equipping you with the knowledge and context to form your own informed opinions. To understand the stakes involved, the complexities at play, and the potential pathways forward. It's about recognizing that Canada's position in this triangle isn't just one of passive observer. We have agency, we have choices, and we have a responsibility to navigate this situation in a way that serves our own interests and upholds our values. So grab a double-double, settle in, and let's take a closer look at this fascinating and sometimes frustrating three-way dance. It's a story that's still unfolding, and one that will undoubtedly shape Canada's future for years to come. So, to get a real handle on this whole shebang, we gotta rewind a bit and see how this three-way relationship even started. It's not like Canada, China, and the U.S. were always locked in this particular dance, eh? The steps have changed over time, and understanding the history helps explain why we're tripping over each other's feet these days. Right after the Second World War, things were pretty straightforward. Canada and the U.S. were tight, allies through and through. China, however, was in the midst of a revolution, and for a long time our interactions were, shall we say, limited. The U.S. had its own reasons for keeping China at arm's length, and Canada, generally speaking, followed suit. It wasn't until the 70s, under Prime Minister Trudeau Sr., that Canada really started to forge its own path, recognizing the People's Republic of China well before the Americans did. That was a pretty bold move at the time, showing a bit of that independent spirit we're known for. Of course, economics played a huge role too. As China's economy started to boom, everyone wanted a piece of the action. Canada, with its natural resources and strategic location, was no exception. Trade ties grew, investments flowed, and suddenly China became a major player in our economic landscape. But this economic integration wasn't without its challenges. Concerns about human rights, intellectual property theft, and unfair trade practices started to surface. Meanwhile, the U.S., under different administrations, has had its own evolving relationship with China. Sometimes it's been all about cooperation. Other times it's been more about competition. And depending on who's in the White House, Canada has often found itself caught in the middle, trying to balance its relationship with its closest ally and its increasingly important trading partner. It's like trying to skate on thin ice, hoping you don't fall through and get your toque wet. Another crucial layer is the whole question of global leadership. Both the US and China see themselves as major players on the world stage, and their competing visions can sometimes clash with Canada's own aspirations for a rules-based international order. We're a middle power, eh? We believe in multilateralism, diplomacy, and working with others to solve global problems. But when the big guys start throwing their weight around, it can be tough to make your voice heard. Take, for example, the various international agreements and organizations. Canada often finds itself trying to bridge the gap between the US and China, advocating for cooperation and compromise. But that's not always easy when the stakes are so high and the disagreements are so fundamental. All right, so we've been kicking around a few ideas here, eh? We've looked at the historical backdrop, the economic pressures, and the shifting power dynamics that shape Canada's position in this global game of tug-of-war. It's kind of like watching a hockey game where you're cheering for one team, but you also have a soft spot for the other guys and you're just hoping nobody gets seriously hurt. Thinking about all this, it's clear that Canada isn't just a passive bystander in this situation. We're not just sitting on the sidelines watching the US and China duke it out. We're actually on the ice, trying to skate our own path, trying to score our own goals, while also avoiding getting checked into the boards. It's a delicate balancing act, for sure. Now, consider how this applies when you face decisions about where to buy your next gadget, or which company to invest in. These choices, even the small ones, are all part of this bigger picture. They reflect our values, our priorities, and our understanding of the world around us. It's not just about getting the best deal, eh? It's about considering the ethical implications, the environmental impact, and the long-term consequences of our actions. As we get set to wrap things up, it's worth pondering the idea of Canadian identity in all this. We're not American, we're not Chinese, we're something else entirely. We're a country with its own unique history, its own distinct culture, and its own set of values, and navigating this complex world requires us to be true to ourselves, to stand up for what we believe in, and to chart our own course, even when it's not the easiest path. It's like paddling your canoe upstream. It takes effort, it takes skill, and it takes a clear sense of where you're going. Mind you, this isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions. It's about being curious, being informed, and being engaged in the world around us. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in shaping Canada's future, and that our choices, both big and small, can make a difference. So, as we prepare to bring this discussion to a close, let's keep these ideas in mind, and let's continue to think critically about Canada's place in this ever-changing world. So, after all this chin-wagging, what's the real takeaway, eh? It's not about having a crystal ball and predicting the future of Canada-China-US relations. It's more about recognizing that we're living in a world that's constantly evolving, a world where the old rules don't always apply, and where Canada needs to be nimble, adaptable, and smart to thrive. The thing is, this ain't just a political science exercise. It's about real people, real jobs, and real communities right here in Canada. From the farmers in Saskatchewan selling their canola to China, to the tech workers in Waterloo developing cutting-edge technologies that compete with the US, this three-way relationship touches all aspects of our lives. And understanding the nuances of this relationship is crucial for making informed decisions, both as individuals and as a society. Think of it like this. Canada is like a small boat navigating a vast ocean, with two massive tankers steaming in different directions. We can't control the tankers, but we can control our own vessel. We can choose our course, we can adjust our sails, and we can rely on our own skills and ingenuity to reach our destination safely. It requires a steady hand on the tiller, a keen eye on the horizon, and a willingness to adapt to changing conditions, and that's where we, as Canadians, come in. We can't just sit back and expect our leaders to solve all the problems for us. We need to be informed, engaged, and active citizens. We need to understand the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead, and we need to be willing to contribute to the conversation, to offer our own perspectives, and to hold our leaders accountable. So, as you go about your day, keep this three-way dance in mind. Think about the choices you make, the products you buy, and the opinions you share. Remember that Canada's future depends on our ability to navigate this complex world with wisdom, courage, and a healthy dose of that good old Canadian pragmatism. The true practice begins now, eh? Keep your eyes peeled, your ears open, and your toque on tight, because the journey's far from over.